It's said that in 1609 the translators of the Bible handed their work to King James, and a year later he returned it to them now completed. During that year the manuscripts are believed to have been in the possession of Francis Bacon. Alterations were made, giving it the flow of Shakespearean prose. Now before I get into what I found in the 1611 King James Bible, I have to go over some things in Sonnet 76. Edward de Vere was the 17th Earl of Oxford, and as Alexander Waugh has shown, was referred to as 40 or 1740. An example of this can be found by accounting from the page of the first sonnet. Sonnet 40 appears on the 17th page. Other 1740s are on the page, which I go over in a previous video. Now if you keep counting, Sonnet 76 is on the 32nd page. This is significant because with the repeated count, 32 is equal to 2 letter I's. The Roman numeral for 1 and the letter I use the same character and are interchangeable. With 2 letter I's, we can get the numbers 2 and 11, and also the astrological symbol for Gemini, meaning a double. Double I's can represent the twin pillars of Solomon's temple, Jachin and Boaz. Apollo and Athena were known as spear shakers, and the light and dark double A Gemini headpiece is found in the Sonnets and first Folio, as well as works of Francis Bacon. The double I or double one Gemini symbol is also incorporated in the Droeshout portrait of William Shakespeare of Stratford, one of several clues in the picture letting us know that this is the face of a double. The Hebrew alphabet consists of 22 letters, and I like how the person who made this points out that 22 is 2 times 11, numbers linked to Rosicrucianism. Now the reason why 76 is significant is because using 23-character Latin Gematria, the letters for Oxford, OXFORD, equals 76. Notice the sonnet begins with the Edward de Vere double V. Also notice how the word sun appears to be struck or partially underscored. Apollo was the god of the sun, and Alexander Waugh has shown evidence of Oxford being referred to as Apollo. If we count the lines of verse, there's 17 before we get to the double V, and the same if we count from the turnover, 17 lines and then the 2 V's. With Gematria, 2 V's equal 40, so we have 1740 balanced between the top and bottom lines of verse. Counting the number of words in the sonnet, the 40th word is ever. Ever is both an anagram of Vere and also stands for E. Vere, an abbreviation for Edward Vere. Keep this in mind. The way the letter T is printed below Sonnet 76 caught my attention. The letter H is made of 2 T's on their sides, so this might be an example of 4 T's or FORTIS. But focusing back on 76, 7 times 6 equals 42. With the repeated count, 42 is equal to 2 T's, or the double tau that's found on the cover, dedication, and in the verse. This all has to do with the gold cross, the Rosy cross, and whatever Edward de Vere's involvement with this Templar Freemasonic Rosicrucian group may have been. And I believe we can include Francis Bacon as well. Which leads us to the King James Bible. After the title page, the first thing we see is the dedication from the translators to King James. The opening section, to the Most High, is 40 words. Following this is the great G character for God, making this indentation in the first paragraph. In total, from to the Most High to the God character, the section encompasses 17 lines. So from the start, we have 1740. The opening letter T lines up directly above the first H, giving us the Temple of Jerusalem character, or triple tau, with its hidden fourth T explained in previous videos. Twice in the Bible the words shake and spear appear in the same book and chapter. The first is in Psalm 46. The opening verse begins with the Masonic G for God. Now comparing it to the preceding Geneva Bible, specific and significant words were changed. For example, in what's known as the Breeches Bible, Adam and Eve were said to have sewn fig leaf breeches to cover up their nakedness. In the King James Bible, the word breeches was changed to aprons. It's believed this is a Masonic reference to the aprons worn by Freemasons during their gatherings and initiations. This picture is from the George Washington Museum. You can see his Mason's apron as well as the right triangle and T-square. Notice also the 2 eye-shaped pillars. I found this in an article by A.E. Loosely, where he shows how Psalm 46 was restructured so that shake appears as the 46th word, and counting from the end, spear is the 46th word. Shake is the 46th word, and spear is the 46th word from the end of the psalm. The word Selah means to pause or rest, and when the psalm is sung, it's not pronounced out loud, therefore it's not counted. If you count the number of lines between shake and spear, there's 17. After the chapter title, count 17 lines and there's a 4T. Notice how the number for verse 4 sits right below the word shake. In German, 4 is pronounced wir. Also, Psalm 46 is 11 verses, which symbolizes the pillars of wisdom, or possibly the Gemini symbol of a double. Counting from the beginning of verse 3, shake is the 12th word. 12 significant because there's 12 letters in Edward de Vere and Earl of Oxford. Also, adding the numbers for 1740, 1 plus 7 plus 4 plus 0 equals 12. The sonnet's dedication is 12 lines, divided by 6, 2, and 4 lines for Edward de Vere, Earl of Oxford. The concept of God in Vere is reflected in the Sonnet and First Folio codes, and we have something similar in the King James Bible. In the video Alpha and Omega, I demonstrated how, starting from page 33, the Jesus number, clues to Edward de Vere, can be found using his number 1740. Here in Psalm 46, starting from the word shake, God appears as the 19th, 30th, 42nd, and 72nd word. Using Latin Gematria in the repeated count, 19 is the letter T, or tau, which stands for the cross. 30 equals GG, which stands for God and Jesus. I explained this in my 9th video. 42 equals 2 T's, or a double tau, the initials found on the cover dedication and in the verse. The Shem HaMephorash, or divided name, is derived from verses 19, 20, and 21 of Exodus chapter 14, each of which contains 72 letters in the original Hebrew. Known as the 72-fold name of God, it's discussed in the Bahir, the Zohar, and other Kabbalistic treatises. So the word shake, and who it refers to, is given a deeper connection to God through number. This is how Kabbalists, Pythagoreans, and minds of artists in the Renaissance worked. Continuing with the same method, from the word speare in verse 9, count 17 words and we get the word God. Keep counting and the 40th word is again God. An example of 1740. The de Vere connection is obvious. To further the point, in addition to there being 17 lines between shake and speare, there's also 112 words between them. Looking at the repeated count, I saw that 112 equals 5 V's. V can stand for Vere, but I tried to think of what else 5 V's could mean. A moment later, I realized that 5 V's make up 5 points, or a 5-pointed star. And a 5-pointed star is exactly what we find on the de Vere coat of arms. Just above the title for Psalm 46 are verses 16 and 17 from Psalm 45. If you count all the words from both verses, there's 39. But there's one more word at the turnover on the preceding page. So in total, there's 40 words. The extra word was added so that at the end of verse 17, ever appears as the 40th word, 1740. Again, ever is an anagram of Vere and is also an abbreviation for E. Vere, Edward Vere, the 17th Earl of Oxford, also known as 40. After the number for verse 17, the 4th word is thy. In classical Greek, H or eta represents the long vowel for E, so the H in thy can be an E, giving us the pronunciation of 1740. The word ever appears twice in this verse. The first time it's the 19th word. With Gematria, the 19th letter is T. Notice that the word before it, word 18, is for, F-O-R. So there's 17 words, then 4, F-O-R, followed by ever, the 19th word, or T, so 1740. In the verse is a colon. After it are 3-letter T's, with ever, the 19th word, being the 4th T. And I think that's exactly what this part of the message is. Ever the 4th T, the same as what's found in the Sonnet's dedication. I believe this is the full message. The Geneva Bible, verse 17, closes with the words, world without end. In the King James Bible, this was changed to forever and ever. The Vere anagrams are abbreviations for Edward Vere. With all the information I've just gone over, when everything's decoded, the verse reads, I will make thy name to be remembered in all generations. Therefore shall the people praise the 4th T and E. Vere. The other time shake and speare appear in the same book and chapter is Isaiah chapter 2. I've already gone over how the Roman numeral for 2 can symbolize many things, including the symbol for Gemini. Notice how the chapter begins with a T or tau and has 22 verses, divided in half by 11. I think this reflects the Hebrew alphabet with its 22 letters, 2 times 11, with tau being the last letter. The chapter begins with a T or tau, but if it was read like Hebrew from right to left, that tau would be the last letter. Beneath the chapter title, if you count the numbers of the verse descriptions, 1 plus 6 plus 10 equals 17. Then start counting the lines from the first verse, 18, 19, and so on. The word spears appears in verse 4, line 40. In German, the number 4 is pronounced Vere. If we include all the lines after the chapter title, spears is on the 29th line. With Gematria, the initials EDV for Edward de Vere equals 29. Verse 4 begins with 12 lines, then a colon. After the colon, plowshares is hyphenated into 2 words so that spears is the 12th word after the colon. Again, there are 12 letters in Edward de Vere and Earl of Oxford. Spears is the 24th word, and there's 42 words in the verse. With a repeated count, 24 equals 2 A's, giving us the light and dark letter A headpiece found in the Sonnets and First Folio. 42 equals 2 T's, the double initials printed on the cover dedication in the verse of the Sonnets. A and T can also stand for Alpha and Omega, tau being the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Just above verse 4 are the words Lord from Jerusalem. Similar to what I did by counting from page 33 in the First Folio, Jesus being the Alpha, I counted the letters Lord from Jerusalem. There's 17. And then, right below it, there's the number beginning verse 4, which is directly above the letter T in nations. 17, 4T, connecting God and de Vere. The pages of the scan aren't flat. Still in their binder, the pages curve towards the middle. But when the pages for Isaiah chapter 2 are side by side, they line up so that the word spears on the first page makes a right triangle with the 2 shake words on the second page. If the pages were flat, the triangle would be more on point. The right triangle appears in Freemasonry and other esoteric schools of thought. Now we're looking at verses for 19 and 21 on the second page of Isaiah chapter 2. Counting from shake in verse 19, the word clefts is the 40th word. A cleft makes a V shape and divides something in 2. If we split the 40th word in 2, we get 20 and 20. And with Gematria, the 20th letter is V, giving us 2 V's for de Vere. If we count 17 words from clefts, the next word is for, followed by the. Like before, the H in the can be a Greek eta pronounced like an E, so we have 17 4T. Both times that the word Lord appears in the verses, shake is printed 12 words later. Again, 12 is for Edward de Vere and Earl of Oxford. Notice that shake is printed in verses 19 and 21. 19 plus 21 equals 40, de Vere's number. I also want to point out that the Shem HaMephorash, or 72-fold name of God, is derived from Exodus 14, verses 19, 20, and 21. Next, there's 67 words between shake in verse 19 and the other shake in verse 21. With the repeated count, 67 is equal to 3 X's. X's are crosses, so there might be a Golgotha reference there, but it's well known that Francis, FRANCIS, equals 67, so this is more likely a Bacon signature. Between verses 19 and 21 is, of course, verse 20. With Latin Gematria, V is the 20th letter, and maybe that's being implied here, V for Vere. But the shake in verse 21, where this encryption ends, sits right on top of the number for verse 22. The 22nd and last letter of the Hebrew alphabet is tav, or tau in Greek, which is why it's drawn like a letter T. We know that Edward de Vere is ever the 4th T, and all these codes I've gone over point to him being Shakespeare. I'm just wondering, with Francis equaling 67, and with 67 words between shake in both verses, if Francis Bacon's including himself as one of the spear shakers. Lastly, I want to go over Edward de Vere's date of death, June 24th, 1604. June 24th is Midsummer's Day, and Shakespeare has the play A Midsummer Night's Dream. And de Vere, who was Shakespeare, coincidentally dies on a day he has a play named after. One chance in 365 is totally possible. But his name, Edward de Vere, divides into 6, 2, and 4 letters. 6, 2, 4, or June 24. Those seem like higher odds. And then there's the year 1604. Added up, 1 plus 6 plus 0 plus 4 equals 11. I've already gone over how an 11 can be a 2 or a Gemini symbol, but it's also, as Roman numerals, 2-letter I's. In Rosicrucianism and Freemasonry, 2-letter I's symbolize the twin pillars of Solomon's temple, Yakin and Boaz, the entrance to wisdom. We don't know for certain the day Oxford died. I'm not suggesting that he faked his own death and spent the rest of his days in Italy like some say of Christopher Marlowe, nor am I suggesting that he wrote the Bible. I did wonder, though, what if de Vere did fake his death and went to live a cloistered life somewhere? He could have finished his plays and worked on the Bible. But I don't think that's what happened. However, someone was able to emulate his style and left clues in the Bible that he was Shakespeare. In closing, what I do want to suggest is this date may have been manufactured to symbolize that, on this day, Edward de Vere passed through the pillars of Solomon's temple, either in body as an initiate or in death as a spirit, forever connecting him to God.